This video is going to take a look at proving that quadrilaterals are parallelograms. So there's 6 basic ways, and I'm going to read them through, and then we'll try to apply them in a couple different situations. You have to have both pairs of opposite sides parallel, both pairs of opposite sides congruent, both pairs of opposite angles congruent, one angle supplementary to both consecutive angles, the diagonals have to bisect each other, or one pair of opposite sides is congruent and parallel. You don't need more than one of these ways, you just need one of these to be true, and then your quadrilateral is in fact a parallelogram. So this is an example proof that we're given, and I think you can do this in 3 steps. You're given that you have 2 congruent triangles. So that's step 1. That hasn't changed even though we haven't done proofs for quite a while. You still put your given down first and then see what does it tell you. These 2 triangles are congruent, and our reason is that they're given. Now, if the triangles are congruent, then we must have some corresponding parts. Let's see if we can get some corresponding parts that will help us. You may have already seen that if the triangles are congruent, that those 2 sides would be equal and congruent, and so would those 2 sides. So that's what I'm going to say next. I'm going to say AD is congruent to CB, and I also know that AB is congruent to CD. And my reasoning there, I'm going to use the corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Now let's sneak back and see which of the ways have we used to prove that the quadrilaterals are parallelograms. I think we're going with number 2. Both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. We've showed that these 2 opposite sides are congruent and these 2 are congruent. So our third step is going to say figure ABCD is a parallelogram. And the symbol for parallelogram is this. And our reason, how do we know it's a parallelogram? Because both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. I'm going to show you some pictures here, and let's see if you can figure out which ones are parallelograms and which ones aren't. Okay, let's see how you did. In the first case, you have a pair of opposite sides that's congruent and parallel. So I'm going to say yes to this because it's the very last one listed here. A pair of opposite sides is congruent and parallel. So it's reason number 6. In this next picture on the right, I know that these 2 angles are congruent and these 2 are congruent. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to say no, because it's very possible for me to draw a picture where the diagonals intersect and the vertical angles are congruent. But when I actually draw in the sides, it's not a parallelogram. In the last picture, I'm going to go again and say yes. I see these 2 angles are supplementary. They're consecutive angles. I see these 2 angles are supplementary. They're consecutive angles. M is supplementary to both its consecutive angles. So I think we're going to go with reason number 4 there. One angle is supplementary to both its consecutive. Angle M is supplementary to both its consecutive.